Hey guys, welcome to Atari Series 7. Today I'm reviewing this, which is the DC Super Friends Blind Bag Series 7. So I was really blessed. I picked these up. I found all of them today, and they're really cool. I like the packaging on these. They look pretty neat. And they got all the characters listed, DC Series 7, and up here is a little number that tells you which one you're getting. Now, personally, I did not have the codes on me at the time, but I mean, there's 6 figures, so I just grabbed 6 different numbers, and hopefully, I think, that should do it. And yeah, so I will list the numbers in the descriptions. Like anytime I review these waves, I always list the numbers in the description, so I'll put those in there. And let's move on with the review. So the first figure in this series is referred to as Bat Point Batman. He's not called that in the packaging, just a lot of people in the community are calling him this. And as you can see, he looks pretty cool. He's got that little bat symbol there, and then he comes with this awesome like blaster type gun thing, and it's pretty nicely sculpted. We've never seen this piece before. It looks cool. It's got a banana clip, it's got a scope, and then it has a giant bat emblem on the end of it, so it's kind of like more of a grapnel gun than an actual like shotgun or something, but it's actually really cool looking, and I really like that. I also like the stock on the back of it there, and something kind of interesting too about this Batman that you don't see with most of the Batman figures is he actually doesn't have bat wings on his arms. He just kind of like has regular gloves. Usually all the Batmans have bat wings, so that's kind of interesting. There's also a little bit of a hole in there, but I don't know if that's like just sculpting or if it's meant to actually look like some kind of different suit. Moving down, he has green pants, and he's got a knife on the side, but the detail in here that I like the most is his shoes, because they're like these kind of like almost army boots, and the way they've kind of like made them there, they're pretty cool. And up top, he has something really cool. He has these goggles. They're not painted on there, but he does have goggles molded onto his mask. So this is, I guess, supposed to be like a maybe like an apocalyptic type Batman, someone who's just kind of like going through a very terrible time, and it's a pretty cool look for Batman. I don't think it's one that a lot of people are going to like because, it is kind of similar to a lot of the Batmans we've seen, but at the same time, it does have some differentness to it, and I like that. So, yeah, moving on. And up next, we have Killer Moth, and this has been a pretty good year for Killer Moth. He's got an action figure in the Spin Master toy line and in this one, so that's pretty cool. And I'm not going to lie to you, I never really thought Imaginext would do Killer Moth, and I mean, lately, I've kind of stopped thinking that there's characters Imaginext won't do because, like, this year they made Lobo, and I'm just kind of convinced they can do anything at this point. But, Killer Moth is just one of those kind of, like, characters you just don't really expect to ever be made because he's more of, like, a joke character, but I gotta say, he looks pretty cool, and I love his Moth emblem. I love the muscular sculpt they've done here, and on his arms to kind of make him look more armored looking. It's pretty cool. He's got those green and orange stripes, and then he has his wings, which are they're almost like a translucent. They have some nice line working on them. His helmet's pretty cool. He comes with this gun, which is sculpted very well. I don't think we've ever seen this before. You've got this little raised kind of like edge on the handle, or one of the handles over here, and it's good. It looks more realistic, and then it's got some nice details in it. It's made in purple, but it does look pretty cool. And I really like that they're taking these blind bags to make some of the more obscure Batman enemies. That's pretty neat. And now the next figure in this series is Killer Wasp. My bad. There's Killer Moth and Killer Wasp in this wave. And just letting you guys know that when these figures are made, they're actually labeled under K-Wasp and K-Moth, and the reason why is just because Fisher-Price isn't allowed to put Killer in the name. They do the same thing with Killer Croc. They call him K-Croc, and it's just because they can't use the word Killer, but these are supposed to be Killer Moth and Killer Wasp. I mean, this might be the most obscure villain or even character that Imaginext ever made, because from what I've read about him online, his real name's never been revealed, and he's only appeared in like very few comics in the early 2000s, so this might be one of the most obscure characters they've ever made, but he has this really nice green eye look to him. I like how they painted that. He's got some gold on his mask there, which just looks perfect. It's got some nice wedges in it, and then you got this at the top. Then you have this kind of like muscular armor that goes down. You got some line working and some gold on the arms. And then I believe his wings are the same as Killer Moth's. They've got some lines in there. And yeah, just to bring them in for a comparison, they do have the same kind of like design with that. And then here's a comparison between the two of these. Now, initially I thought these two came together because Killer Moth, Killer Wasp. But apparently from what I've read online, Killer Wasp is actually an Injustice Society character. So he's kind of like more of a Justice Society kind of antagonist. And Wildcat's in this wave, who's also a member of the JSA. So I kind of feel like maybe that's why he's here, even though there's similarities to Killer Moth. I think that's kind of cool that they decided to put Wildcat and him in the same wave. You also get that really cool power effect piece, so I like that. So here we have Bronze Tiger, and just like Killer Moth, he's also being made in the Spin Master line this year. It's actually kind of weird because King Shark's being made in Imaginext this year, and he was made in Spin Master. So I don't know if like maybe the two companies are trying to work together or maybe go against each other, but that's kind of interesting. And he's got this kind of like tiger head. He's got some nice details on the white there, and then you can see the green in his eyes and the linings that are pretty cool. Kind of like a mane going on. Pretty neat. Not really a mane. Got some nice detailing. Then he has this orange kind of like karate type suit. He's got a black belt there. And then you can see some nice details on his kind of like arms here where they're lines, which is pretty cool. And they also have some there as well. So he's got some nice details going on him. And he also includes this like nunchuck weapon. And there's him with that in hand. And then here we have Talon. And again, just like the other characters, Talon is also being made in the Spin Master series this year. So that's kind of weird. But Talon is really cool. And this is another figure that I just wasn't really sure if Imaginext would ever make. Just because he's a more modern Batman villain. And you know, he's kind of one of the more darker villains. But man, does Talon look amazing in Imaginext form. He's got this gold that goes on his mask, which is pretty cool. He's got the red that goes around the sides of the gold there. Or should I say the gold goes around the sides of the red. And as you can see, it just looks pretty cool. He's got that little bandolier with the silver knives on it. He's got that little emblem type thing there. He's got gold on this armband and plain on this one. He's got two katana holders, or not really katana holders. I don't know what you would refer to those kind of swords, but he does come with two swords, and he has a way to hold them on his back, which just looks awesome. And he's got this really cool armor detailing, and you can see where his like knives and everything would be. And just because Damien's a part of that story, here's a comparison with him and Talon. And it'd be really cool to get more of these to kind of like build up the... to build them up. That would be pretty neat. And overall, I just think this is a really awesome looking design for Talon. And I know a lot of people are talking about this being the best character in the wave. And I'm not going to lie, I think with the sculpting and the detailing, this might be the best character in this new series. And here we have Wildcat. Now, I'm not going to lie, Wildcat is probably the character I was most excited for out of this new series because a lot of the other characters were just more of like Batman-centric and villains. So it was cool to see an obscure type hero in this wave. And obviously, Wildcat's more on the obscure side. He's dark blue, but with my camera, he kind of looks more like light blue. And it's kind of weird too on some of the foil packagings, like this, he looks like he does in the packaging. However, if we turn the lights down, you can kind of see he looks almost kind of like darker color, but again, the light's not on it, so that's probably it. But I've noticed like when the light's not reflecting on it, and maybe it's kind of hard to see on camera, but his costume looks a little bit different, more like he does in the comics with the darker suit. So I kind of wish they had done that, but at the same time, it does look pretty cool. He's got this nice sculpt going on. He's muscular, you know, he's a wrestler, he's going to be. He's got these kind of like bandages wrapped around his arms, you know, like he's fighting. Then he's got some nice details on like his little claws there on his feet, which look cool. And then the mask itself has some pretty cool with the gray detailing. And for accessories, you get this really cool punching bag for him, which I think is pretty neat, you know, because he's supposed to be a wrestler, and that's pretty cool. Or a boxer, I guess I should say. And then here's a comparison with Dr. Fate getting some more of the Just Society. It'd be really cool if they did more characters for the JSA at some point. And then here's him with Killer Moth, because like I said, he's a member of the Injustice Society. I don't know if that's why these two are putting this the wave together, but that would make sense because a lot of times Imaginext does like to pair up these blind bags in a way. So yeah. So here we have the wave together, and as you can see, they all look pretty good together. I'm going to bring Batman down just so he's a little bit more lined up with the others, and I think this is a pretty good wave. I think it's pretty cool. You're getting a lot of obscure and really neat characters. You're kind of getting more villains in this wave, but Talon is awesome. I mean, Talon's probably my favorite, but my second favorite over here would have to be Wildcat. I also really like this new version of Batman, and just all of these really knock out of the park. I would say my least favorite is Bronze Tiger, just because he kind of feels a little out of place. Plus, I think we're going to get him outside of the blind bags this year. So it kind of almost makes it feel weird that he's here. But then again, most of these characters will probably come out at some point outside of this. And overall, I think that's pretty neat. I do want to say, though, if you're currently hunting for these, they've been showing up in select Walgreens and Walmart since July, but they're kind of hard to find. I've seen a lot of people posting them on the internet for kind of like outrageous amounts of money, which I just think is stupid. And I recommend that if you're looking for these, not to give into that. Like, I know a lot of people are afraid of how Series 1 became so hard to get, but I don't think these are going to be like Series 1. I think pretty soon by Christmas, you know, these are going to be showing up all over Walmarts and other retailers. So if you're looking for these, I would not recommend giving in to the high online prices, and instead just try to find it, because it's probably going to come out in your area pretty soon. Because like with me, this just came out in my area, and this thing's like been released since like, last month, but I'm just now seeing it. So again, if you're hunting these, I would recommend just waiting and not giving into the eBay prices, because it's getting a little ridiculous in a sense. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please rate, like, and subscribe.